now, for the first time in the last few years, we've really started to see the Europe that we know coming apart a lot more, whether it's the question, even just the question of the UK leaving, or it's the collapse of Schengen in the face of in the face of hundreds of thousands of refugees, or the arguments that are going on internally about shared burdens, or the Greek economic crisis. What's happening to the EU?
Well, there clearly are these challenges, and on top of that, you can add things that aren't directly to do with the EU, but such as Ukraine and Russia and what's happened there. So there are challenges for Europe, and what it does require, to one extent, it does show you that when you think of the migration flows, which are particularly acute for Greece and Italy right now, whether there was an EU or not, these problems and challenges will probably still be there as well. If you assume that Syria's problem is not to do with the EU, which I don't think anyone is claiming that, you'd still have possibly millions of migrants coming to Europe, and it would still be a Europe-wide problem, and these migrants will still want to spread out through Europe. So isn't it better to actually have some mechanism to try and coordinate and cooperate, however imperfect that looks at the moment? The other side of the coin, we've talked about the challenges, but the single market itself is working. I don't think many people question the ability of the single market or what it has achieved in terms of helping to raise people's incomes by having this this zone where you can trade freely, and it's something Americans would understand. But imagine if you had lots of borders and customs controls between different states in the US. What that would do to the economy, how it would raise costs. So it's not perfect, the single market, yet. It's getting better. It's adding more and more services to what you can trade. But I think people ultimately, they need to balance out the positives with all the challenges that rightly exist.
There was a day I might have said that Americans would understand, but right now our leading presidential candidates from both parties are against free trade.
Well, and actually, just take Britain. The EU has free trade agreements with, I think, almost 55 territories and countries around the world. I think the US has like 1/5 of that, and so it is an organisation at its best that can be much more open with the rest of the world and say, look, come and trade with us, and I think ultimately that's a good thing. Right.